Hello, this is Richard. This is copyrighted 11/11/20 Sunday morning, which I believe is the 11th. I I could be wrong on the date, only because I didn't look at the clock before I started making this. But I'll see if I can do it. I don't know if it'll show up. Here you go. There's my phone. According to this phone, at 7:16 a.m., November 11th, it's 32 degrees outside. Now, I don't know if that's right. I don't think it is, because with that temperature outside, it would be colder here. So I'm going to see if I can fix this. Let's see. There's the time. All right, the time is right, and the date is right. Time. All right, the time is right, and the date is right. Now I'll see if I can fix this. There's the temperature. Now I'll see if I can get this to update. Update now. Okay. It's updated now. Now, according to this, it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's 7:20 Sunday, November 11th. Now, according to the law, that there should be heat in this building, in this apartment house, but there's no heat. Now I have a problem. I'm poor. I have no money. I have no lawyer representing me. And although I'm probably wrong, it seems to me that the court and the government are punishing me because I complained that there's no heat in this building for the last 6 years. Now, this is the pipe from the base to the ceiling that heats the bathroom. I can put my hold it because there's no heat going through the pipe. I've been able to do this every night between 12 p.m. and 6 or 7 a.m. in this building during the winter that I've lived here. Now, maybe 3 nights of the year or 5, like the night before Christmas, or maybe there's a few nights the heat's been on. But most of the nights the heat is not on. It is off. And to me, now, when I complained and complained and complained, the city of Yonkers, the inspectors, the government has been grossly negligent, in my opinion, because the heat's not on. It's still not on. And how am I still, and the way they go about enforcing whether the heat's on in the middle of the night is ludicrous. It's insane. It's banal. They'll come at 10 o'clock in the morning to see if the heat's on or not here. And when they come, the heat will have been turned on at 6 a.m. and it will go. Now I can go into this room and show you something. What I'll show you is the building inspector came here. His name is Patrick Lusco Sr. And he said to me, before he came into the apartment, at the entrance to the apartment, he said to me the same thing that other stupid people have said to me, people who are unprofessional and don't know what they're talking about. He said to me that the reason there's no heat in my apartment is because I have the radiators covered with things, and I've never had the radiator here covered with things. That radiator is not covered with things. If heat would come into that radiator, it would come into this room. But in this room, the bedroom, at 3 a.m. in the morning, in the middle of the winter, it's 0. The temperature is 0. And there's ice. If I have water here in a container, it's ice. Now, how can I sleep in a room that makes ice in the middle of the night? And if I'm sleeping in so I can't sleep in this room, so I don't have this space to live in. It's not habitable. It hasn't been habitable since I moved in here. And Section 8 comes and inspects, McCrite inspects every year. But the inspection is a fraudulent inspection to try to abuse me because I'm poor. The whole system is designed to let other people scam those of us who are poor because we're poor and use us for their own advantages, for their own gain. Like Mr. Losco gets paid. Whether there's heat here at night or not matter, he gets paid. And the truth is that this room and this apartment should be loaded with things, loaded with lots of things that will act as what are called heat sinks. So the few hours when they do run heat through this building, through this apartment, the heat will come out and get attached to metal and other things, all the things I have had in this apartment that Mr. Lusco and that Liz Perez, the inspector for Section 8, and any other idiot that came in here and told me that the reason there's no heat here is because I have stuff around the radiator. If there was heat here and I had stuff around the radiator, that would be a real fire hazard that might cause a fire to start. And I'm not going to have a fire hazard in my apartment that will cause a fire to start because I'm an Eagle Scout and I'm a Christian and I understand what is a fire danger that's going to cause a fire to start and what is something that I'm having to do to try to survive as a homeless person, as a poor person, in a place with a bunch of idiots coming around trying to tell me what to do. They don't even know the words, the meanings of the words they use in the dictionary. They have a different meaning. They're all professionals. So they have a meaning for the word hoarder that isn't what it says in the dictionary. And we'll show that dictionary in court and use it as evidence. If I'm a hoarder, they're saying that to the court to try and say I'm a bad guy. There's something wrong with me. I'm insane. But that's not what the definition of hoarder is in the dictionary. In fact, if you look at the definition in the dictionary, and we will look at it, it shows that I'm quite wise to keep things and to let them collect the heat and keep the heat in this apartment. Because then instead of the heat not being in this apartment at 12 p.m., at least till 1 p.m., there's some heat in this apartment because it's gone into all the things all around and they've absorbed the heat and now they begin to radiate it out. But and it's a lie. Mr. Losco could never show you evidence of anything being around the radiator when the heat is on. But of course, since the landlady doesn't put the heat on when she's supposed to, since EMS property is grossly negligent, and because they are committing fraud, or they're so poor they can't afford to run the building, and they're very wisely preserving the expenses. But I have a lease, and the lease implies that I'm going to have heat when the law says I would. But everyone who rents in this building, most of the people pay their rent, and then they pay for their own heat. How do they pay for it? They pay for it either space heaters like this and this, And those space heaters are a fire hazard, that they're going to cause a fire to start because they shouldn't be being run. And they're being run in other apartments, not in my apartment, because that's how they get heat. And so they work, and they're not so poor, so they pay $1,000, $2,000 winter heat bill for electricity. And the poor people, or some of the other people, don't have space heaters. They open their oven, they turn it on, they put a pint of water in there, and they try to heat the house. Now that's a fire hazard. That's going to cause a fire. And yet the court allowed for a year now, they allowed the landlord and Image Properties to say things bad about me in the court. And neither the attorney representing me, nor my case manager, nor Section 8, nor the city, nobody, absolutely nobody, would bring up the issue of the heat, the lack of heat. And when I brought it up, which I've been bringing it up for 4 years, and I went to court with it, I went to the federal court and filed the lawsuit before I went to the hospital, so that was 3 years ago. But I was blind at the time. I had to use a crayon to write the lawsuit because I couldn't see. And the fact of the matter is that every single person who's getting paid to enforce the law is grossly negligent because they're ignoring the fact that there's no heat here. And I have witnesses. The people upstairs above me have been here for 20 years. If I can get them into the court and give them a subpoena and have them testify, either going to lie on the stand or they're going to say there hasn't been heat in this building in the winter from 12 midnight to 6 a.m. for 20 years. And the other lady, the lady whose ceiling fell in on her daughter and hurt her daughter, she's been here for 10 years. She'll say there hasn't been heat for 10 years. If I can get her into the court, if she'll be honest. But nobody cares. They don't care. And so Mr. Losco says to me, oh, you're the only one who's complaining, so there must be something wrong with you. That's what he said to me. He said it to me twice. He said it to me when he first came to inspect in April, and he said it to me again when he was leaving here, having inspected the place in a week or two ago, the last time he was here. It's on his record. I'll have him come into court. He was here. Because on the way in again, same as I did the first time he came, at the entrance, before he came in, I asked him why there's no heat. And he said, it's my fault because I have too much stuff around the radiators, which an idiot would say that. A stupid, unprofessional inspector would even think that's true and say it before he walked into the door and looked at anything in this apartment. No, he was colluding with the landlord that the Section 8 inspectors, the name Lieutenant O'Connor, 914-377-7525, and Chief DeSantis, I guess around April, went upstairs to the second or third floor